If I look like I've just woken up, it's because I have. But I feel like wearing this hoodie, or whatever it's called, is like perfect Netflix watching attire. So honestly, it's okay, I'm on theme. And I have my cup of tea, which is half of my breakfast, still to consume. So this video is going to be all the best films on Netflix right now, in my opinion. Now this is Netflix UK. I do have a VPN so I can access other countries, but I wasn't about to do all the countries because this would be so long. Yeah, so I'm basically just going to list the best films that I think are on UK Netflix right now. As of today, there's the date. As of then, I know Netflix changes its catalogue quite a lot, so this video could be outdated very quickly. But as of right now, this is what stands for me. Now I have 36 films that I think are the best that are on Netflix right now, and I'm going to try and go through them very fast because I feel like when I do videos like this where I list things, they end up being really, really long, and I don't want this one to be really, really long. So I'm going to try and be as fast as I can and only say like 1 or 2 sentences about each film. Because I mean, if you want to watch it, you want to watch it. If you don't, you don't. I'm not going to try and sell it to you. Yeah, and I think this film is definitely a mixture because I have a very mixed film taste, I think. And hopefully it's a mixture of films that you've heard of and seen and some that you've like never heard of before. So let's just get into it as quick as I can. So number 1 on the list is the film Pride and Prejudice. Absolute classic. This is just my favourite Jane Austen film and it's just amazing. It's, yeah, I think it's probably the best, one of the best period dramas ever made. Yeah, so Pride and Prejudice, watch it. Next one is Little Women, another period drama. This is the Greta Gerwig one. Just amazing. I love Little Women. I love the book. I love this adaptation. It's really, really good. The performances are amazing. You've got Timothée Chalamet, you've got Saoirse Ronan, you've got Florence Pugh. Like, it's a very good film. Next one, a little girly one. This is 13 Going on 30. I grew up with this film. I love it so much. It's just really like really light-hearted, really feel good, really nice, and yeah, Jenna and Matty, their relationship is superior. Next one is Spirited Away. So if you haven't seen this yet, please watch it. If you're gonna watch any like cartoon or any Studio Ghibli film, please make it be this one. I also grew up on this film. It did scare me as a child, but now as an adult I can watch it and I'm not scared. Yeah, just really good. The art style is beautiful and the story is really good. Next is The Imitation Game. This is just a really interesting story. It's a true story about Alan Turing and his code breaking in World War II. And yeah, just really, really good. Definitely sad, definitely one you can cry to. And Benedict does a really good job. Next on the list is Tall Girl, a bit of a controversial one. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I love Tall Girl. I think it's really good. If you're looking for the easy to watch type of film where you don't have to think, I think Tall Girl is the one for you. It's amazing. Maybe watch it with some friends. I watched it with friends and the whole time we were just talking about donkers. Yeah, I think it's a really good film. And if you're looking for one in that category, try Tall Girl if you haven't. Don't watch number 2 though. Number 2 is not good. Next up is Amelie. So this is my sister's favourite film and one of my friend's favourite films. And it's a work of art. So it's a French film and it's about a girl who is she basically is a matchmaker and is also trying to just bring happiness to people's lives, but then she kind of neglects her own life, and it's so nice, it's so beautiful, it's very like, it's got its own style and it's just a really, really good film, and I feel like if you like films you have to see this one. Next up is Hitch. This is a classic Will Smith film. It's rom-com, just really good, really feel good. I also watched this as a kid. I remember loving it and I love it now as an adult. Just classic rom-com, but like one that's actually funny. Yeah, just really good. Next up is Grown Ups. Now this is one of my favourite films in the Adam Sandler cinematic universe. I love Grown Ups. I don't know what it is. It's literally just like grown men having fun and I love it, and I feel like most of the men in the cast are just playing themselves. Like I feel like Adam always plays himself and it's so good. But yeah, Grown Ups, one of my favourite of Adam Sandler and just really feel good. Yeah, and Steve Buscemi is in it, so do I need to say more? Next one is a chick flick, I think one of the best chick flicks, and this is Wild Child. So this is Emma Roberts. She's American and she goes to an English boarding school because she's so naughty, and it's just so good. So good. I love it. So many iconic lines. Yeah, really good chick flick. Next up, another chick flick is Bratz, the live action version. I feel like this isn't very popular, but I love this. I love this when it came out when I was a kid, and I love it now. And there's just that iconic scene with the guy that's deaf and Yasmin. Such a good film. Yeah, just like a silly feel-good film. It also, I don't know why, but it really touches me. It makes me cry in a lot of moments. I'm not sure why, but yeah, really good film. Next up is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Now this is an 80s classic with Matthew Broderick, that is his name. This film, yeah, 80s film, a classic, really good, really feel good. And I feel like it's quite universal and everyone will love it. So when I watched it, I loved it. I thought it was really good. And then I forced my brothers to watch it, and they were like, oh, this looks terrible, like this is going to be bad. And then we watched it and they were hooked and they loved it. So I think it is really universal. I think it will appeal to most people. And yeah, just a really fun time. And it has Baby from Dirty Dancing in it, and it has what's his name, Charlie Sheen as well. He's quite attractive in this film. Next up is Superbad, one of my favourite comedies ever. It's just so good, so iconic. You've got Michael Cera and Jonah Hill. Such a good film. Yeah, I couldn't recommend it more. Next, another chick flick is Clueless, so the Jane Austen adaptation that we all really wanted. Yeah, really good. Another feel good, easy watch. You've got Paul Rudd. You've got Elton, who is really hot. Yeah, just a really good film. Next up, more of a current film, is To All the Boys I Loved Before. I loved this film when it came out, just obsessed with it. I still love it now. Only number 1 though, because number 2 and 3, there's just no point. But number 1, a very close place in my heart, just such a nice film, and for some reason made me sob my eyes out. I don't know why, but it's so good. Next up, another chick flick is She's the Man. So we got Amanda Bynes, we got Channing Tatum, another kind of classical text adaptation. So this is Shakespeare, this is Twelfth Night, loosely based on. Yeah, just really good, really funny. Next up is Inglourious Basterds. So this is a Quentin Tarantino. It's not my favourite Tarantino, but it's good, it's up there. You got Brad Pitt, you got people hunting Nazis, and Hitler's in it. Yeah, really good film. More for people who like violence and gore, because it's definitely very violent and gory. But yeah, really good Quentin Tarantino film. Next up, this one is so good, Snatch. So yeah, this film, it's quite old now. I think it came out in like 2008. It's so good. You've got Brad Pitt, you've got loads of other famous people, which I cannot remember a single one right now. Brad Pitt really stands out for me. But yeah, just a really good storyline, really interesting, kind of gangstery film, definitely violent. And just Brad Pitt's accent, so he's Irish in it, and the way he says dogs, he's like, the dags, oh my god, honestly. Best performance I've ever seen. Yeah, highly recommend Snatch. This next one is one of my favourite films ever. So amazing. This is In Bruges. So this is a comedy with Colin Farrell and Dominic Gleeson, I believe is his name. And it's so good. In Bruges, it's dark comedy. It is very dark. It's about these two hitmen who are essentially holidaying in Bruges because they're hiding out from an assassination that went wrong. One of them's suicidal, the other one just wants to explore Bruges, and it's so cool. Such a good film, so funny. The scene with the dog is, I love that scene. I rewatch that scene on YouTube sometimes. The scene with Colin's character and the dog, where the dog just stares at him. I don't know what it is about that scene. Very good. But yeah, very good film, and Colin Farrell is a phenomenal actor, so anything that he's in I'm probably gonna love. I've also been to Bruges, and I tried to go up to the tower. That, if you've seen the film, the tower has some significance to the film, and I didn't have enough time. But yeah, I've been there, and just a really good film, one of my faves ever. I highly recommend. This one is a little bit more absurd, a little bit more niche, but this is the film Drop Dead Fred. I believe it's a 90s film or an 80s, but I believe it's 90s. I grew up on this film. I think my mum loved it when it came out, and then she got me and my sisters watching it. It's really weird. Like, watching it as a kid, I liked it because, so Drop Dead Fred is about a woman who has an imaginary friend. She had the imaginary friend when she was younger. Then you go to her when she's like 30, and she's essentially having like a crisis, a personal crisis. She's having a breakdown, and so she's kind of, her imaginary friend comes back because she's kind of reverting to this childhood state essentially. And yeah, watching as a kid, I just loved it because it was an imaginary friend, and kids have those. I pretended I had one. I didn't have one, but I used to be like, I've got a imaginary friend called Drop Dead Fred. I didn't, but I pretended I did. Yeah, as a kid it was just about the imaginary friends, but I rewatched this recently as an adult, and it's really good. It's such an interesting take on mental health, which I obviously did not pick up on as a child. But yeah, so interesting. It's very absurd, it's very quirky, very corny. It's not for everyone, but if you're looking for something new, I would suggest Drop Dead Fred. Next up is Chicken Run, absolute classic, just so good. I haven't actually seen this in a while, but I saw it was on Netflix, and I definitely need to watch it because yeah, I loved it as a kid. Very, very good film. Yeah, just fun. Just some little plasticine chickens running around. Really fun. The next film is amazing. So this film is called Three Idiots, and it's a Hindi film, or at least they talk Hindi in the film. It's basically these three guys in India who are friends, and they all get into this like really prestigious university. So I think it's like an MIT type thing. It might even be MIT. It's been a while since I watched it, but they all get into this university and become friends, and it just follows their life from when they were in university to when they graduate, and essentially it goes back between the past, so when they were in uni, and in the present, and there were three of them. Two of them are trying to find the third one because he's gone missing, and he was kind of like, he was so smart, he was a genius, he was kind of the star of the uni that everyone thought would do good things, but he was also really naughty, and like a lot of the teachers hated him. And that's the premise of the film. It's so good, it's so enjoyable. It's quite long, but honestly worth it. They sing, there's songs, some of the songs are absolute bops as well. Just a really, really good film, and I feel like a lot of people probably wouldn't have seen it, and they should, because it's such a good film, very enjoyable. Next up is Brokeback Mountain. Now this is a classic LGBT film with Jake and Heath. Yeah, just a really nice film. Definitely sad, had me crying, but yeah, just really good, really interesting, really nice. I don't know what else to say, but you should watch it if you haven't. Next up is School of Rock with Jack Black. I was obsessed with this film when I was younger. Just a really good, feel-good film. If you don't know the plot, I'm sure you do, but it's Jack Black becomes a music teacher, and he decides to start a band with his class to enter them into like this Battle of the Bands competition. And yeah, it's just really, really good. Next up is another Studio Ghibli film, and this is When Marnie Was There. This is probably my second favourite after Spirited Away. This film is just so nice. It's so good. It's really sad, or at least I find it really sad. It touches quite a lot on mental health, like social anxiety, feeling like you don't fit in, stuff like that. And it's essentially this girl, Anna, I think she's called. She's not doing well, so for the summer she goes to stay with her aunt, who lives in like this really rural village near like a lake, and she's just spending her summer there, and then she bumps into this girl called Marnie, and she keeps seeing this girl called Marnie, and they become really good friends. But as the film goes on, you realise there's more than meets the eye with Marnie and who she is. Yeah, just a really good film, really touching, really heartfelt. Two female main characters. Yeah, really good. I've read the book because it was based on like a kid's book, and I've read that book and it was okay. I definitely prefer the film though. Yeah, I'd recommend as another cartoon to watch. Next up we have The Big Short. Now this is the film with Christian Bale and Steve Carell, who I love. Yeah, it's a film that basically tries to show the events leading up to the 2008 housing crash, and it's just really, really good. It's quite long. It's by the same people who made Don't Look Up. I didn't like Don't Look Up, but I love The Big Short. Just really good. I love the style. The performances are great. Yeah, just a really, really good film. I love Christian Bale's character so much, and I was rooting for him so much throughout this film. Next up is Stardust. If you want something a bit more fantasy, this is just a classic fantasy film. Honestly, it's so good. I loved it as a kid, and rewatching it as an adult, it's just so good. It's such a good film. Really fantastical and really fun, and it has Prince Caspian. He's the main character. Next up is Blade Runner 2049. Now, if the original was on there, I would say definitely watch the original. That's one of my favourite sci-fis ever. I love Blade Runner, and I really liked the second one with Ryan Gosling. I really liked it. Yeah, I thought it was quite good as a second one. I enjoyed it. It made me cry. The visuals were really good. Yeah, I think it was a solid second film. Next up is Bohemian Rhapsody, probably one of my favourite biopics, apart from Elvis, obviously. But yeah, I love Bohemian Rhapsody. I thought Rami did a really good job. I really enjoyed it, and the music is a bop, so if you haven't seen it yet, it is on Netflix right now, so watch Bohemian Rhapsody. Next up is Marriage Story. This obviously had a bit of controversy, like people saying that the argument scene is like GCSE performance. I love that scene. I think it's really good, and I love this film. I love Adam Driver with my whole heart. I will watch anything that he's in, and he's in this. He's quite a big part in this, and yeah, I just love Marriage Story. I think it's really nice, it's really beautiful, and it's very bittersweet to see kind of the ending of a marriage, and when a marriage ends but there's still love there. Yeah, really nice film. Next up is Prisoners with Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman. Now, this film is a thriller, really good if you want something like that, a thrillery type film. And Hugh Jackman's performance in this is amazing. It's probably the best I've ever seen him. I think it's his best performance. He was so good. Jake was very blinky in this film. I don't know why he was like this all the time. But yeah, just concentrate on Hugh. His performance was really good, and I recommend this film. Next up is Sleepers. Now, I feel like this one will be a bit more unknown, but it is on Netflix, and it's essentially about this group of boys who are friends in New York, and set in like, when would it have been set? I feel like, I don't know. I'm trying to think, because the present, well, I'll explain it to you. But basically, it's this group of boys, and they essentially break the law and end up going to a kind of like juvie, and then you see them when they're grown up, and I think they're grown up in the 90s. So when they're boys, it's whenever they would have been boys. I don't know what that would be then, maybe the 70s, I don't know, or the 80s. And they go to this juvie, and they end up getting abused in this juvie because it's like a terrible juvie, all the guards are horrible. And then it follows them when they're out, and two of them want to murder like the main man that abused them, and that's kind of the plot of the film. It's definitely more of a harder watch. It's not an easy watch. It's quite distressing. There are a lot of scenes of the abuse, and yeah, like it's a film where you'll probably cry, feel sick, and it is an upsetting film, but also really good, and really good performances, especially from the young boys that play them when they're younger. Really good performances, and yeah, just really good story. I would recommend, but definitely not for the faint-hearted. Next up, we have Pride. This is just such a feel-good film. So amazing, so funny, so great. It's about a group of LGBT plus people who decide to go and help the miners' strike in Wales, because they think, oh, if we be an ally to them, they'll be an ally to us. And yeah, it's just really feel good, really nice. And the main guy in it, what's his face? George. The main guy is the main guy in 1917, and I love him, and he is really good. Yeah, really good, feel good film. Next up is a classic, or at least for me it's a classic, and it is the film Warm Bodies. This is a rom-com. It's Nicholas Hoult, and it's essentially Romeo and Juliet, but replace them with zombies. Instead of Montagues and Capulets, it's zombies and humans, and Nicholas Hoult plays a zombie who falls in love with a normal girl. And yeah, just like it's silly. It's a silly film, but I really enjoy it. I really like it. I'm like terrified of zombies. They're like one of my biggest fears. But I can watch this film. I can watch it okay, because like they're not like, some of them are a bit scary, but like Nicholas is not a scary zombie. So yeah, I do like that film. Next up is another rom-com, and this is Just Like Heaven. So this is Reese Witherspoon and Mark Ruffalo. Just such a nice rom-com. It's essentially, there's a doctor, Reese Witherspoon, and she gets in a car accident and goes into a coma. So she's in this coma for quite a while, so they decide to rent out her flat that she was living in, or apartment I should say, it's quite big, and Mark moves in there, and she is essentially inhabiting the apartment as a ghost. Although, is it a ghost? A spirit? She's still alive, like her body is still alive, she's just in a coma, so it's like her spirit self. And for some reason he can see her and no one else can, and she essentially ends up haunting him, and she's like, get out of my house, why are you here? Because she doesn't realise that her body is in a coma. She thinks that she's fine, and they like work this out together, and it's about him helping her, trying to help her get back into her body, trying to help her like figure out what's going on type thing. And of course they end up falling in love, which it's a really good film. It's definitely, I found it a major tearjerker. Yeah, but really nice film. And finally, we are at film number 36, and it is The Social Network. Such a good film. I love this film. You have Jesse Eisenberg, you have Andrew Garfield, you have Justin Timberlake, you have Armie Hammer, but we won't talk about him, playing twins. It's a really interesting story of how like Facebook got started and like what happened, and the performances are amazing. Like, I'm sure we've all seen the Andrew Garfield scene where he throws the laptop. Such a good scene, and Andrew is so young in this and he's so cute. Yeah, just a really, really interesting film, and I would highly recommend it. Those are all my recommendations, all 36 of them. I hope I didn't ramble on too much about each one because I wanted this to be quite quick fire. But yeah, I hope this helps you decide what to watch. This is just what I think is best on Netflix right now. But as I said, the catalogue changes like all the time. So I could probably make one of these monthly of what the best films are because they change so much. But right now, as of today, the 23rd of November, which is actually my dog's birthday. Happy birthday, Teddy. This is what the best films on Netflix are, in my opinion. So yeah, happy watching, and thanks for watching this video. Bye!